Hey, everyone. Anthony Fantano here, internet's busiest music nerd. Hope you're doing well. And it's time for another edition of our weekly track Roundup, where I go over what I thought were the best and the worst tracks of the week. You know what it is. I have linked all of these songs down below, so you can check them out for yourself if you are curious. Also linked down below is our Turntable Lab link. We get kickback from it when you go over there and pick up a colorful pressing of a record we have reviewed on the channel. Also, our Patreon page, head over there, sign up for a tier, and get some extra bonus monthly content and support the channel and everything we do in the process. And ba-bam, let's get into the worst tracks of the week, which there are a handful of. We actually have quite a few tracks to get through, so let's just do it. First off, Only the Young, Taylor Swift, by the numbers, boring, uninspired, overproduced, not nearly as interesting as anything off of Lover. So I'm just pretty much done. Moving on from there, saudade, which apparently is the Portuguese word for a feeling of longing or melancholy. It's also a rotating cast of musicians in a music project that on this track, titled Lions, features Randy Blythe of Lamb of God fame and Lee Scratch Perry, and it's like a heavy new metal reggae psychedelic mess, and I cannot endorse this in any way, shape, or form. I guess outside of saying it's ambitious, it's risky, it's weird that they did it, and I think Randy's vocals are performed relatively well, but it's a real mess of sounds coming together, not in a very non-complimentary way. Moving on from there, Drake and Future have leaked another track. This one somehow worse than the last one. I don't know how you could get more disappointing than that last track that they recently dropped, but this one is a lot more raw instrumentally and vocally, like it's not really finished, but they just decided to put it out because it's Drake and it's Future, and the name recognition alone will make people's just excitement levels go through the roof, thinking of some sequel to What a Time to Be Alive. Clearly Drake and Future want us to be thinking about them, want us to be anticipating something coming, and whatever that something is, I hope it's better than I really truly do. I hope it's better than the last two damn tracks they have exposed us to so far, because lyrically, vocally, instrumentally, this is not it. Against All Logic, Nicholas Jar's Against All Logic has come through with a brand new single featuring the tracks Illusions of Shameless Abundance with Lydia Lunch, an artist that I hold in very high esteem. Also, Luciano with FKA Twigs and Estado Unido. And these are not anything like any of the 2012 to 2017 album tracks. They're not really anything like Nicholas Jar does typically. They're just very indulgent, aimless, abrasive. The Luciano track featuring FKA Twigs is a total mess, mix-wise, I think, in a lot of respects. I just didn't really get a whole lot of gratification out of these tracks. I mean, I guess I appreciate and admire that Nick is allowing himself in this project to experiment so boldly, but I don't know. These are not tracks that I would have been excited to share or have my name attached to. Are these songs that if you don't know jack about house, you will enjoy? Let me know. Let me know, I guess. Let's move on to the tracks that I thought were kind of meh. Still worth mentioning, though, but not necessarily blowing me away or anything. First, we have the band Uniform, who've come through with a hard-hitting, grinding, distorted rager of a track that's a little bit less abrasive than their usual thing. I feel like the raw punk rock energy of this track is actually pretty spectacular, even if once more I'm sort of waiting for that thing that about Uniform hits me like no other group out there. We also have this new track from Travis Barker featuring Lil Wayne and Rick Ross, Gimme Brain. Look, Wayne kind of raps his ass off on this track, and simultaneously the beat is kind of wild and bright and in your face. The music video is silly, absolutely silly. The hook sucks. The hook is definitely trash. This is not a perfect or an amazing song or anything, but for a meeting of the minds, which I say in a very tongue-in-cheek way. It's not bad. It's not bad. It's a very weird combo. Even considering that Travis has been, kind of doing production for a while now for a variety of hip hop artists and has been doing a lot of crossovers into the rap world as of late. But still, to hear these three on a track and for it to come out as goofy as it is, but still not intolerable, I guess is impressive in a way. Moving on from there, They Hate Change. They Hate Change, rap duo They Hate Change. They have a new project on the way. This teaser cut, which is a very interesting and pretty raw track that has a music video shot in front of a lake. It's titled Lakeside. Has some good flows, decent, chill, laid-back energy, a bit of a brainy track. I'm digging it and looking forward to seeing what they do in this new album cycle. Moving on from there, we have R.A.P Ferreira, a.k.a. Rory, a.k.a. Milo, a.k.a. You guys have heard me cover his stuff on this channel numerous times in numerous contexts because this dude is always coming through with a different project, a different something, a different collaboration. And this track that he's come through with is a very sharp piece of jazz rap with a lot of brainy references to the typical things that Rory raps about. I will say that I like the clarity of the instrumental and the clarity of his, I guess I want to say, his line of thinking in a lot of these tracks because there are some cuts that he's done as of late under the Milo name that to me felt just a little too miscellaneous, a little too disconnected. And I think that's going to be a part of his style, like forever. And certainly it is a characteristic here that comes up. But I feel like with this new track, Doldrums over here, there is a bit of clarity to it that I liked a lot. Porter Robinson coming through with a new single, new album on the way. Get Your Wish is the name of this track. A lot of fans excited for it. Given it's been a while since you've heard a record from Porter Robinson, and I wasn't too crazy about the last one, there has been a lot of anticipation about, Anthony, what do you think about this track? Listen to the track, review the track, blah, blah, blah. And I think it's not a bad cut. I mean, it's got a bit of, I think, a J-pop vibe to it, especially in some of the vocals. And I do like how cheery it is in a sense, and I don't think the production is as sterile as it was on his last record. There are some elements of it that I don't find to be all that mind-blowing or anything, but I will say that I'm going into this new record with higher hopes, given I've listened to this, and it's not too bad. So give it a try, give it a shot. Sort of digging it. We also have Justin Bieber, brand new single featuring Kehlani, Get Me, and it's not bad. Although I will say that I feel like a majority of the appeal really comes down to Kehlani on this one and the vocal chemistry that her and Justin have going, because Justin's vocal performance is just okay. The beat is just okay. But once they really start singing together and there is again, a bit of a spark there, a bit of a fire in the second half of the track, that's really where I think the song gets entertaining. And I mean, I'm just going to leave it at that. It's shout out to Kehlani for essentially making this song better. Moving on from there, Sons of Yusuf, featuring Jay Electronica, Diving for Pearls. It's rare that Jay Electronica turns up somewhere on a feature, and that's pretty much why I'm talking about this track. I can't say I'm like a huge fan of Sons of Yusuf or anything, especially considering the somewhat weak reference points and similes before Jay comes on that are placed throughout this track. But still, I mean, if you're into more of that lyrical stuff and you don't mind some hokey lines here and there, give it a try. Give it a shot. Basically just keeping the Jay Electronica fans abreast of his unpredictable appearances at this point, because Lord knows we are never going to get an album. Moving on from there, Hayley Williams has graced us with yet another track from this brand new record she has coming on the way, Leave It Alone. And even though I'll say emotionally, this track feels a lot different than the kind of the lead single, the inaugural single for this album cycle, I am feeling like I'm pretty much stuck in the same place, because it still kind of feels like she's singing over some kind of version of a Radiohead instrumental. Now, given it's a very different kind of Radiohead instrumental because the band has undergone like a lot of different sound changes across their career. But once again, instrumentally, it feels like the primary influence here is Radiohead. I could totally imagine Tom York singing like over this over this set of instrumentation. And meanwhile, on top of that, while I do think that the instrumental is fine, Hayley's vocals and songwriting just don't really hit all that hard. I don't know exactly why, but I'm just kind of waiting for the moment to be blown away, and it's just like not really occurring. But hey, I mean, give it a try, give it a shot. Elon Musk, Don't Doubt Your Vibe. Brand new EDM banger from Musky Musk, DJ Musk. And it's okay. It has some weird vocal treatments and some techno synth arpeggios that don't really fit in with the driving EDM house beats and glistening synthesizers that play throughout most of the track. But it's still a kind of fun song and definitely sounds better than, I don't know, what I would have expected. Honestly, I was expecting some shit like on the level of that Kim.com guy, like when he started coming out with like solo music after he became kind of a notorious internet figure. But no, this was actually much better and not total garbage. So there you go. All right, moving on from there. Dua Lipa has a brand new song out, new record on the way. Physical is the name of this new one. To me, this is just a very so-so pop track. It actually reminds me of Lady Gaga's earlier stuff, but like even more, because we know Lady Gaga was not nearly as like edgy or as artsy as she would come to be on later projects. To me, this feels like early Lady Gaga, but somehow like even safer and like more generic and less risky. I don't know. That's just how it sounds to me. I don't really get the hype over the track personally. I just don't. Even if I think the instrumental's pumping and the vocals are fine, there's just not really a whole lot of style or personality to it, honestly. And the hook is just merely okay. It's not like, you know, a rager or anything like that. Moving on from there, Dorian Electra has kind of put out a random song here where I guess they assembled the lyrics or wrote a bulk of the song based on comments that they were receiving over social media. And it is kind of a goofy track about drinking blood and so on and so forth. There's some vampire themes worked into it. But hey, it's still kind of fun though. It's still kind of fun. And I will say vocally and instrumentally, even though it's not as well produced as everything off of Flamboyant, kind of the basics are there. So it sounds fine. It sounds decent. And it's a track that Dorian fans, regardless of how deep you are into their music, will not want to miss. So, all right. ASAP Ferg, Value. It's not bad. I feel like Fergie's more eccentric qualities have mostly melted away since Trap Lord, and his music is just not nearly as out there or as silly or anything. But I mean, it's still kind of a hard hitting trap track, and vocally he's still pretty much one of a kind. I'm just kind of waiting for him to make music again that's fun, and kind of absurd. But it seems like we're not really going back to that place, and he's still like kind of playing it by the numbers. But still, I think ASAP Ferg does once more have that one of a kind voice that people kind of look for and does stand out regardless of what he's trying to do on a song. So I suppose that continues to get him by, regardless of he's putting out his best stuff or not. All right, let's get into the tracks that I thought were the best this week, the most exciting, the most amazing. Once more, all these are linked down below. Check them out for yourself. But bam, first, this dude, Zack Villere, whose music I have not really covered to any great extent in the past, mostly because I thought it was kind of underwhelming, has come through with a really beautiful, somber, and soulful, low-key, skeletal ballad with vocals that are just so forlorn and just heart-wrenching. I loved it. Even though this thing was short, it was stunning. And I will leave it at that. We have also The Men with a brand new track over here titled Breeze, which is a pretty hard-ass rockin' track. I guess I'll say that while I do love this song, it's difficult to really get excited about any Men album cycle based off of a track, or even two tracks I think are good, because every single Men record sees the band going into a different direction, whether that be some garage punk or some country or anything else that I guess you could do with a guitar and beyond. So, who the hell knows where the band is going from here. But hey, they're one of Sacred Bones' longest running and most prolific acts. You got to respect the hustle. They're still doing it after all these years. Shout out to the Men. Squarepusher. Oh, Tom. He's still doing his thing. Has a new record out now. This track is off of it. And this one over here is one of the glitchiest Squarepusher songs I've heard in a while. Wonderfully glitchy. And the rhythms on it are fantastic. Those break beats are sounding sharp as hell. I will say this track is titled Terminal Slam, and highly recommend it, and move on to the next one. All right, we also have Shopping, the post-punk band Shopping, who ingeniously are working some cool elements of dance music into this new song, this new single of theirs that I'm liking quite a bit. For Your Pleasure is the title of it. And yeah, I'm fucking with it. Fucking with it heavy. Moving on from there, we have Quelle Chris and Chris Keys' Sudden Death. Now, if you've enjoyed Chris's recent work that I covered for a good part of last decade, don't expect too much going into this track that sounds like that, because this is kind of like a chill neo soul tune with weird high-pitched lead singing vocals, not anything in terms of Chris's very absurd tongue-in-cheek, socially conscious, sort of nasally laid-back flows or anything like that. But still, I feel like Chris's unique personality, despite the stylistic switch up here, still comes through on this track. It still is a little tongue-in-cheek, and it still is a bit somber. And but there is something kind of quirky and funny about it too. I don't know if what we're hearing here is indicative of some kind of shift we're going to be hearing in his music going forward. But regardless, I liked it. I liked it. I liked it a lot more than I thought I would have if I had known this was going to be a huge change of pace. You know what I mean? But yeah, I thought this turned out really good. All right, moving on from there, we have Meek Mill with a tribute song to Nipsey Hussle, featuring Roddy Ricch. Who certainly, owes a tribute to Nipsey as well, with the, features and connections that he's had to him that helped put his name on the map too. So, yeah, it's a great track. It's actually really fantastic, lyrical, thoughtful. I know every once in a while Meek is in his music capable of these immense feats of emotional intelligence and narrative and storytelling, which I wish he would sort of delve into more in his stuff. But, when he does hit that mark, he fucking slam dunks it and, hits it out of the park. And this is certainly an example of that. Instrumental is really kind of uplifting as well in some respects too. So, R.A.P. Nipsey, shout out to Roddy Ricch and Meek Mill, totally killing it on this track. All right, moving on from there, Mark Kozelek with Ben and Jim. They are coming together with a new collaborative project. I wasn't really crazy about the last time these three crossed paths before, but I'm liking this new track over here so much more. It is this track titled My Brother Loves Seagulls, and instrumentally and narratively, I feel like Mark is going a little bit back more toward the Benji era on this track. I'm liking that a lot about this song, and just love the personal narrative of the track. It's actually quite moving, up there with Mark's best stuff of this past decade, in my opinion, and certainly has me excited to check out this new collaborative project when it does come out very soon. All right, we have a Little Dragon over here with a hard grooving track that has some pulse, has some bite to it, has a bit of energy on it, which I'm liking. I feel like Little Dragon has been in a bit of a musical rut as of late, and more tracks like this will certainly help to push them out of that very quickly. Hold On is the title of this one, and I'm liking it quite a bit. This is the most fun I've had listening to Little Dragon in quite a long time. We also have Nas and Nas Rodeo. Yes, Lil Nas X has come through with a new version of Rodeo featuring Nas. I reviewed this one over on the main channel. Liked it. Thought it was cool. Thought the addition of Nas was tasteful. Thought that he did his thing on the track and did his best to play into the narrative of the song. And loved the addition of the strings in his section of the track too. You could say instrumentally they really rolled out the red carpet for Nasir. We have Kesha over here with Tonight. I am planning on reviewing this new record of hers pretty soon, so I'm not going to really get into it with this track or anything, but I will say this one, I like it. I like it quite a bit. It is a weird combination of a ballad and a zany trap banger. The transitions are really cool, but still moving on. Album review out at some point this week. We also have a new project from Gorillaz, Song Machine, and the first song to come out of it is Momentary Bliss featuring slowthai and Slaves. Reviewed this one over on the Fantano channel as well. Did I say the main channel on the last one? I meant Fantano channel if I didn't say Fantano channel, but still. I reviewed this one over on the Fantano channel as well, and loved the punky fusion of, I suppose, some of the psychedelic and dreary and spacey sounds that you might typically get out of a Gorillaz track with those beats and guitars that you typically might hear in a Slaves track. slowthai melts into the chaos too, and all in all, I like the sentiment of the track as well, about essentially wanting to live a life that you get more out of other than these momentary feelings of bliss. We have Starr taking one of the better tracks off of the recent, posthumous record that they put out. Posthumous R.A.P. to Guru, because obviously DJ Premier geniusly pulled so many of these tracks together in such a tasteful and a fantastic way that really tributed the memory of Starr. But now we have again one of the better tracks from the record in a remix with Method Man and Redman, and the energy is incredible. You couldn't have asked for a better melding of artists together on this track to sort of complement it. Makes me wonder and makes me wish that they got a little bit more ambitious with the features on here, especially on the shorter tracks where they could have easily placed any number of legends from the 90s that could have enhanced the listening experience. But hey, still it was a very solid record, and Starr forever. All right, moving on from there, we have CJ Fly coming through with this track Show You, which in my opinion is actually one of the best tracks he's ever fucking done. Not only in terms of, excuse me, hook is great, energy is great, charisma is off the fucking scale, and I love the topical focus on the track too. The dude really takes you through his life and his personal experience, and this is a song where he's really trying to get you to know him in a way, not just artistically, but personally. This is the most I think a Pro Era member has stood out, aside from Joey, past Capital Steez. And CJ has always been the closest to doing that, but he's really stepping out on this track because his flows are they're not the fastest, but they are way above average, and the pace at which he executes them so consistently across this track, it's is impressive that he's able to sort of execute in a way where it just seems so smooth and so effortless. And yet when you're thinking about what he's saying and the pace at which he's saying all of it, I'm sure it was very difficult to map this whole track out. So moving on from there, we have Caribou, brand new track, which is very groovy, very house influenced, some compelling vocals in there as well. I'm digging it. And really looking forward to this new record. Never Come Back is the name of this track. And we have Anna Calvi, who has come through with this track, Don't Beat the Girl Out of My Boy, which if you are a fan of hers or if you've been following my coverage of her music, that's not a new song. That's a song she came out with a little while ago. But this is a new version, which is more skeletal, instrumentally, peppier in terms of the performance, and features Courtney Barnett. And it's different enough in tone and in performance for me to mention it again and say, if you liked the last version, check out this one too, because this one's equally entertaining, but for different reasons. And we have Aesop Rock, Rogue Wave, a gritty, grimy instrumental on this one. Aesop's trademark flows and unparalleled wordplay and choice come together on another quality song that has me psyched for him to come through with more. So Aesop Rock, always doing it to the best of his abilities, no matter when or how or why he's doing it. And that is the weekly track roundup, everyone. Thank you very much for watching. Linked all those songs below once more. Shout out once more to Turntable Lab, our Patreon page, linked down below too. And we will see you in the next one. You're the best, you're the best, you're the best, you're the best. Anthony Fantano, music, weekly track roundup, forever.